Hello,
Hi,
how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Yourself? So thank you for coming in today. Welcome to another episode of ShoutBoB. We have a special guest here. I'll give you a chance to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm MJ, also known as Morgan Banks. I am the owner of Sisters with Photos. And, our slogan is a pick a memory with us.
Okay. All right. So, like everyone else is here, without further ado, tell us your story.
So I started photography about 5 years ago, but before that, I was a teacher.
Hmm.
Um, I've been working with kids since I was about 16. When I turned 25, I was working at a daycare that I completely hated. Like I was so over it. And uh, I had also had promised myself that I was only going to teach for about like 10 years. Like that was something that I kept really close to me because I knew it wasn't something I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
Hmm.
But one thing I did enjoy while I was there was like taking photos of the children because that was like one of the requirements. We had to show like the parents what they were doing throughout the day. Um, and so I expounded on that. It was therapeutic. I was going through a really like dark place at the time. I was very depressed. I was not feeling the most successful.
Hmm.
So it was cool. It was really nice. And so then my sister gave me my first camera, and which helped me to like go out and take photos. And then my best friend, she let me like practice on my god kids and her. So
Hmm.
which was like they were like my models for like the first like 2 years. And even now they're like
Okay.
still my models. Uh but the craziest part about it was like I started to go away from the church, but I started my own like spiritual journey with God, just not within the church, which was like one of the things that
Okay.
really gave me the thought process and the like I guess the bravery to do it, to
Okay.
start my own business. So I started SWP in 2020, like mid pandemic. Uh because at the time my nephew was born and he was like my biggest inspiration because he was like fresh and new and like and I was
Hmm.
just like I don't want to be in this horrible space and I have kids looking after me. Like I had my niece, I had my godchildren, and then I had just had my nephew, and I wanted like them to know that you could do whatever you want. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and it was just like they're the closest thing that I have to children, so I want them to be able to do whatever. And for me, he became that like what do you call it, like smoking gun to
Okay.
like go and do what I want. And so I then started SWP. I had wanted to start it with my sister, but at the time she was a new mom and she was busy and I was just like, all right. So I ended up doing it with my best friend who I treat as my sister.
Hmm.
And she was like my person to like keep me going because I
The
was like
motivation.
completely, yeah, like I was completely over it at one point, and I was
Hmm.
just like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be doing this. And then like my first, I remember my first customer was one of my friends from church, and like
Hmm.
she treated it like a real business. Because before that, people were just asking for freebies and wasn't taking what I was doing seriously. And
Absolutely.
yeah, she was the first one that was just like, I'm gonna pay your price, whatever it is, and I want you to treat it just as like It was. And then like when I gave her the photos, she was like so excited. And it was like my first real experience of like, yes, this is really what I want to do,
Uh-huh.
which was so cool. And so after like 2 years of like grinding and going in it, I started thinking about going to school because I wanted to really be in the art world.
Hmm.
So I gave myself like 3 more years to like work on my craft. So then last year, I had been talking to my best friend. I was like, I really want to apply to like MICA.
Hmm.
It's the Maryland Institute of College Art. And I was just like,
Okay.
I don't know if I'm gonna get in. I don't know how good I am or whatever. She was just like, you're gonna get in. Like
Hmm.
my best friend is like overly confident in me, like more than I am. So it's just like she just be like, I'm not paying you no mind. You got this. And so I had told her, I had told my mom, and my mom was just like, Morgan, you got this. So I put my application in, and I forgot all about it. I was just like, whatever. And
Hmm.
then when I got it, I lost my mind. I was just like,
Okay.
I
What year
couldn't
was
believe
that?
it. Um, I started this year, so no, I started last year, so that was 2022.
Okay.
So my
Okay.
first semester, I completed my first semester last fall.
Okay. How many semesters you got to go left?
Three.
Okay.
Jesus.
So,
So
okay, one down, three more to go.
yeah, it's going well. It's definitely stretching me as like an artist.
Okay.
It's opening my views on a lot of things. I think it's making me not so judgmental about a lot of topics that are discussed. And it's making me really think about what I want to leave for the world and what I want to leave for myself and like for my family.
Hmm.
So it's cool.
Okay. If you had to describe your style, your editing style, what would that be?
It's a mix between like high fashion and storytelling. Like it's a lot of composition that I'm into.
Hmm.
So I like darker tones. I like to give it a mysterious feel.
Hmm.
If you notice in a lot of my things, there are a lot of far off things, a lot of far off subjects, and then I'll do like portrait style where a lot of people are in the face. Um, I believe in like telling someone's story, and I feel like with photos you can do that.
Hmm.
And I want people to have my director calls it reading time,
Hmm.
and so I want people to look at my photos and really be like grasped by it and want to like look at it for more than like 2 seconds. And I think now my work is starting to have that reading time in it, and it's making
Hmm.
me think of deep concepts, thinking of like deep ideas, conversations that I want to be a part of,
Hmm.
that I want my audience to like think about and
Hmm.
question for themselves.
Oh, okay. That's great. Um, when it comes down to your shoots, do you prefer digital or film?
Digital. I'm just learning film. Film's a
Okay.
lot.
Okay. Um, do you ever have to reuse your photos for other pretenses or other promotions and things of that nature, or you just kind of one and done?
No, I do. I some of the photos that I did like years ago, I still use for like my artist portfolio. Some I'm just so connected with that I don't really let them go. So I feel like they're like the best to describe the type of work that I do.
Hmm.
Um, and it helps also to show when I'm like signing up for artist residencies or like trying to show people like what I've done. It shows the growth in a
Hmm.
lot of my work. So you can see like what I did in the beginning to where I am now. And
Hmm.
some people, like some clients, like to see the growth in their photographers. Some don't. You kind of gotta feel their energy to see where they're at.
Okay. So when you're shooting and photography and that, how would you describe your style of, your pictures?
Uh, I definitely like to shoot outside more, but
Hmm.
my style is always focused on family connection. My style is focused on human vulnerability. So a lot of times I take pride in getting to know my clients first, to know
Hmm.
what they really like and their dislikes, and like a lot of people are not comfortable in front of the camera, and how
Hmm.
can I, alleviate their stress when it comes to those types of things. Uh and like style wise, composition wise, I like things where they're like warmer tones. And also I'll do something like, Gordon Parks or Latoya Ruby Frazier, where it's family focused and it's off sighted, so you may not never really see like their whole face, but you're always gonna see like a profile of their face.
Okay.
Um oh look, there goes my best friend.
Okay. Okay. Um, what is it like working with you when it comes down to a photo shoot? What is the process?
Uh the process is long. It's a lot of talking.
Okay.
It's a lot of calming me down because I have probably gotten very in my head. I'm very much overthinker. Um, it's a lot of late night phone calls between me and my best friend because she's also my assistant and partner. And so she is the one where we're creating the whole concept and the whole creative shoot and the mood board of like what this photo shoot is going to be. And a lot of our concepts are covered in creating our own backdrops.
Oh,
I particularly
wow.
don't
Okay.
like, yeah, so a lot of the backdrops, if you notice in my photos, is either outside or they're solid colors or they're stuff that I create. I don't particularly like the ones that come with a whole bunch of like stuff on it.
Hmm.
And I try to steer my clients away from that. I feel like it doesn't aesthetically look good. I don't think when I do it, it doesn't look good. I'm
Hmm.
not that type of photographer, so I I feel like the creativeness that I have and the creativeness that comes with creating your own backdrop is
Hmm.
the connection. So the one that we did was like the rose board in one of our photos for Rose in the Dark. We
Okay.
created this whole rose wall, and then I extended it through editing.
Okay.
Um, and now I have a friend that's teaching me how to paint, so I could create my own backdrop for this
Okay.
oral concept that I got in my head.
So when it comes to being a photographer, what are the most valued points of photography that you say you value the most?
Um, connection, um, vulnerability. I need my clients to be as honest as possible with me about how comfortable they are,
Hmm.
where they are, and what they're doing, um, and why they want these photos. Because it's a lot. Like some people want their photos for just, to commemorate a great time, a occasion. And then some people want their photos because they want to see their family on their walls, and that's their connection or connected to people that they're gonna lose soon. So those stories and those things like um kind of help me to be a better
Hmm.
photographer, but also it helps me to realize that everybody's story has a purpose, and it's not okay to just bypass that part.
Mm-hmm.
because that I think, and that's where my slogan comes from. I deliberately put pick a memory with us because I've always been looked at. I always felt like a observer of everybody's memories and my own memories too.
Mm-hmm.
So because I always feel like on the outside, I'm like adamant of building connections with people so that you feel like we're a part of your family, like, and you feel comfortable enough to talk to us about stuff.
Okay. What is a turnaround time if someone wanted to do a photo shoot with you? What is that process like? What is the turnaround time?
I try to get my photos back within a week.
Okay.
I I I, I don't like keeping people's photos longer than that because I don't want that responsibility. But it is usually between 1 to 2 weeks that is the turnover time. If it's longer, I'll tell people before, and I'll let them know, especially like while I'm in school. I'll be like, hey, just give me some grace. Like,
Understand. Grace is definitely needed. Um, for the up and coming photographers that see you, that's inspired by you and want to be you, what's the difference between natural light and studio light?
ah, it's rough out here, okay? Uh, studio like can be so manipulated, and if you are a person that um is not a morning person, is not a get up and go type person,
Hmm.
studio light is probably the best for you.
Hmm.
Um, natural light, even though it's so beautiful when you actually catch it, because you can't replace it.
Hmm.
There are specific hours within the day that you can really work with natural lighting.
Really?
So
Didn't know that.
yeah.
Okay.
So it's really not cool to like take photos in between like 10 and like 2 p.m.
Hmm.
because that's when the sun is at its highest point and it's
Hmm.
too much light. So then your exposure becomes like blown out and it becomes like extra bright. And then you have to learn how to manipulate shadows when you're outside, which I just learned from my mentor.
Okay.
And I will say, if you are an up and coming photographer, you definitely need to go to Martin Studios. It's Skyloft Rental. Love them. Love him.
Hmm.
He is like my mentor. He was my first teacher in photography. He's not the easiest, so I'm not going. He's definitely
Most
going
greats
to tell
not.
you. Yeah, so he's definitely gonna let you know. But he was the one that taught me about like the golden hour and about like, the sunset rule, where it's like the sun shifts when the sunset, it
Hmm.
shifts every 30 minutes. So you have to like move fast with your photos. You could take your
Oh.
time in like the studio where you could kind of shift the light to be wherever you want. You could change the color of the light. You could give yourself that moody like look of warm tones and cold tones. But when you're dealing with the sun and outside nature, you're working with God's environment. So you're gonna have
Hmm.
to be a little more patient and a lot faster in that space.
Okay. All right. I believe you answered this question, but what do you enjoy shooting the most and why?
Ah, right now, I enjoy shooting the most is black women. I don't know what it is. Uh, I I've been like obsessed with shooting like black women and also like shooting nature for some reason.
Hmm.
I don't know. So I've been going to North Point Park, State Park for like the
Hmm.
past like since like last year,
Hmm.
early fall,
Hmm.
and just sitting and looking at the scenery and taking photos. I did a series where I focused on my grandmother called Where's
Hmm.
Home that I did for school, which was cool because it was about like gentrification and about like black people losing their history within gentrification. and how storytelling kind of keeps us from losing all of our history.
Hmm.
Um, so I think I'm in like this exploration of within myself as a Black woman. So now I'm just like really into wanting to know a lot about Black women's walk and their journeys and like how it is for them, and what it is that they love and want to see. So that's one of the
Hmm.
things that like I'm and it's women just in general that I'm just like, okay, you
Okay.
know.
All right. If you had a chance to go back to tell your younger self anything in the past to help for the future, what would that be and why?
Um, Take a breath. I When I was younger, I was very anxious about taking the next step. Like even now, I'm still learning how to take a breath.
Hmm.
I get very anxious when I feel like I'm not grounded in what I'm supposed to be doing.
Hmm.
I'm really about trying to figure out what my purpose is. And the closer, the more I work through a lot of stuff within myself, I'm learning that my purpose is human connection and like bringing vulnerability back into photography and understanding that everybody's story is important.
Hmm.
And so telling my younger self that like your story is important. Your journey is important. Don't be embarrassed by your journey. Because for a long time I was embarrassed.
Hmm.
Uh
I think we all was
yeah,
for some point of time in our life. I think that's a human trait.
yeah, and I think, nobody really tells you that your journey is not embarrassing. Your journey is not wrong. And I
Hmm.
think, my younger self probably would have appreciated somebody being like, it's okay, you know, this is not the end.
Hmm.
And, it's cool to hear from your parents, but I think you need to hear it from like somebody that is in the trenches with you at that moment.
Yeah,
So,
a great partner or what we call best friends or something like that, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I'm in that space now where I have the support system that I need. Like, I have my best friend who I call my sister. I have my sister. I have my parents. And then I have like, I'm starting to open that space up to people within my school system, my school, who are different from me, like completely different from me,
Hmm.
but are so comfortable with um themselves. And
Hmm.
I think it helps me to like be like, okay, so let me do this work so that I could be in that same space.
Okay. Um, when it comes down to support systems, who was your biggest support and how did they help you in your journey?
That that was my best friend and my mom.
Okay.
Biggest critics, biggest support system. uh my best friend was like with me, gun ho from the beginning. Like I just went up to her and was like, I want to do photography. And she was like, great, what we doing? Like, and I was
I
just like,
understand.
yeah. I was like, I'm just about to take these photos on my phone. And she was like, okay. And I remember she had bought my god kids these Adidas outfits. And she was
Hmm.
like, your aunt's about to do this photo shoot. Get over there and listen to where she at. I didn't know what I was doing. And I was just like, bet, let's do
Okay.
it.
Okay.
And my mom, like, after us having a conversation, and like, because when I say like, I was supposed to be a teacher, I had a whole game plan.
Okay.
Like, I was going to be a superintendent. Like, and then
Focused.
I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I
Okay.
had already made it up in my head that I didn't want no part in it, but I never told my mom. So it was just like a real surprise to her. But once I like
Hmm.
really sat her down, we had the conversation. She was like, "Okay, great." Like her being at my first exhibition show was like very emotional for me. Um, because my mom is my biggest supporter. she's just always there,
Mhm.
like in the shadows.
Of
She'll never
course.
want to be in the front. So, and then like even my dad, like all three of my parents were taken aback by this switch, but
Hmm.
once they got with it, they've been very supportive. Like
Okay.
they they're like not the most artsy people, so this is a lot for them.
Okay.
and but they understand and they know that their daughter is creative and knew that this was like a space that I am supposed to be in. So
Hmm.
they try their best to like understand. And it's cool. Like it's nice to like talk to my parents and like my best friend and see their different perspectives on my artwork or
Hmm.
like bring them into the art world and you can see how like uncomfortable they are, but they're just like, okay, well, you know, we're here for our daughter and then we're gonna leave. Like
Okay. All right. Um, we're near the end of the segment, and I want to thank you so much for being a part. Is there anything that you want to let the public know about up and coming events, photo shoots, or things you have going on, and where can they find you at?
ah, I'm all over. Um I have an exhibition coming up at UB Blake Gallery on February 4th. Please come out and support. Um, I, I'm available for photo shoots and anything that people's hearts desire. I have two pages. I have SWP underscore photos, and then it's action underscore means underscore more. I do go by MJ as my artist name.
Hmm.
Um, and holla at me.
Now, I know what SWP stands for, but do the general public know what it stands for?
I do forget to do this. SWP stands for Sisters, and it is with the TAHS. Because
Hmm.
somebody in the comments tried to correct me a couple years ago, and I was like, no. But it's Sisters with Photos.
Hmm.
Named it after Sisters with Voices because I love that group. But and also because my sister was supposed to be a part of it, but it
I
still ended
understand.
up being like my sister being a part of it.
I
So
understand. I understand. So, Sister with Photos is the actual business name, right?
yes.
All right. And what would you like to name this segment if you had to name it anything, being your own personality?
Um, it would have to be Where is Home. I'm dedicate that to my first real project I did at school.
Where's home? Okay. All right. So that's the lead up to everything. Definitely, if you need any photo needs, do you do videos as well?
Nah, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet, y'all. I'm still working on that part.
Not a
But
problem.
I'm
So if you need
serious
any
about
photo
it.
needs or anything like that, please reach out to SWP, Sisters with Photos. I want to thank all the guests that tuned in today. Thank you so much. We appreciate y'all so much. Um, from ShoutBob to you, SWP, I definitely wish you the bestest luck. I see great things happening into your future of your business. Thank you for sharing your story with us today. I want to say, see y'all again till next time, folks. Y'all have a great and blessed day.